Got bad news, amigos. I'm going to show you proof that's over for the US dollar. Man, it was so great. We're going to all be speaking Arabic or Nigerian or one of the 5,000 million languages of India, Mandarin, Cantonese, Russian. What's another country that's coming to get us? Portuguese, Brazilians will come get us. It was good while it lasted, man. The 1910s were such a great time. Such a great time when a dollar was worth a dollar. It's just bad news, bad news. So here we are. This is Fed from the Federal Reserve Board of St. Louis, the Fed, economic data. And we're going to see two lines, and one's on the left, one's on the right. We have current federal government tax receipts, all right, that's in the red. Then current interest payments, all right, current federal government expenditures on interest payments. And we're going to go back to right here. And you can see our federal tax receipts in the red was in 2020, it was 2.149. So we're just going to say 2.1. And then 500, and that's $2.149 trillion of government tax receipts, all right, of government tax receipts right there. So the red is $2.15 trillion of tax receipts. And we had $521 billion of interest. So what we're going to do, over the spreadsheet I got, yes, I have lots of spreadsheets, and I'm not a spreadsheet wizard, but I know enough to be dangerous. And we're going to say our tax receipts are $2.15 trillion, and our interest was $0.52 trillion. That's $520 billion. And we have essentially a government debt to income of 24%, all right? So now let's go over here and see what we're at now. So as of end of 2023, $2.9 trillion in tax receipts versus $939 billion of income of interest payments. So we're just going to, for simplicity, say, well, let's just do it like that. So 2.9, right? 2.9 trillion, 0.939 billion, and what's our debt to income now? Holy crap, it's up to 32%. We're doomed, dude. We're doomed. How dare you? How dare you, Josh? Don't you know? So let's just take a look here. We're going to go back because look at that. That's an increase. We take that. What do we do? I can't remember. So we take, what was that increase? We take, I know what we do. That's 0.8%, 0.08 divided by 0.24. That's an increase in 33% in debt to income. So if you're going to go buy a house and your banker says, what's your debt to income rate? You say it's 0.33. That's pretty good. It's not bad. And then they say, but it was 0.24 4 years ago. So you're Scanlon. We're not going to give you a loan. Check this out. Let's just go back because that just goes back for 5 years. Let's go back to the max, shall we? Yes, we shall. Look, oh my goodness, look at that. Let's just look here in the booming years of the Reagan. We're just going to go 1989. I haven't done this yet. 1989. We had $269 for interest payments and $601 for tax receipts. $269 and $601. 1989, $269. So we're going to go 0.269. Oh wait, as interest payments. 0.601 for tax receipts and 0.269 for interest payments. And let's take a gander at what that gives us, shall we? 44%. What? 44% was our debt to income. And obviously the 80s were horrible. No one got any jobs. There was nothing to eat back then. Let's go to 1982 when old Ronald Reagan started. 152 to 371. 152 to 371. Let's take a look here. So 0.152 to 0.371. Oh my goodness. This is in 1982 when Mr. Reagan started. Mr. Lincoln, I wish you were here. 0.41. Let's go to 1972 when Tricky Dick started. 0.037 and 0.155. 0.037. He started 68, but he also has 0.155. You know what I'm talking about. And that's going to be 1972. Tricky Dick. Mr. Lincoln, I wish you were here. Who sang that song? It's only 0.23. It's such a better economy in 1972. Let's go to 1968 when Nixon first got elected. 0.024 to 0.127. 0.024 to 0.127. And we're going to come down here and we're going to say, what was it then? It's only point less than 20 basis. Oh my goodness. It's less than 1/5 of 1%. I mean, the economy is so much better over here, Scanlon. Don't you understand? You're really making me mad. Really making me mad. We can say, let's go to the 1950s. This will be, when did the freaking Eisenhower start? Oh boy, I can't do it. We're just going to say 6 to 8 for simplicity. I don't know. 0.0, we're going to say point, I forgot what the hell it was. What was it here? 1952 was right there. 0.06, is that what it'd be? To point, let's just do that. I'm just going to do my head. We're going to do 58. No, we're going to do 6 divided by 58. It was 10% back then. This is a good economy. I agree. That was a good economy. This was a good economy. This was a good economy right here from 1982 to there. This was a good economy with a low debt to income ratio. This was a bad economy when a low debt to income ratio is a not. And we go up here. Look at this. And so you can see their debt to income ratio has increased, but as we see here today, and this guy right here, it's gone way down. Look at that. From what it was, that's 2020, that's 2023. It's gone way down from what it was in 1982. The debt to income ratio was down, what's that? I don't know, 8 divided by 30, 8. It's gone down 8 divided by 40. So it's gone down 20% from 1982. That'd be, let's see, 12 divided by 44, right? No, 12, yeah, 12 divided by 44. It's gone down 27% from 1989. Yeah, I think we're doing okay. Now let's check this out. Let's do something else here, shall we? I just want to show, we're going to edit this. We're going to format. We're going to make these guys right here. So you can see it's basically been even. Steven, we're going to see, look at that. Massive increase of debt to income ratio right here. Massive increase. And that was during the Reagan years and the boom of Clinton right there. Huh. Massive increase. All right, so these are just logged. So you can see it's been pretty steadily going up on a line, except right there. And we're kind of right back to that line right there. Interesting. Let's add a third graph just to show you guys something. You'll get a kick out of this. We're going to delete one of these graphs. We'll just delete. We'll get rid of the expenditures of income here. We're going to, can you get that guy out of the way? Expenditure, federal government interest payments. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to add GDP, all right? Add line, gross domestic product, GDP, which I think is right there. Yep, we're going to add data series. We'll put that on the left scale, format, on the left, boink. There we go. And so there's our GDP, and our right there is on the left, I thought I'd put on the left, on the right. Okay, it's on the right though. So there's our GDP. These are, let's not do log. Well, log makes it, you can see they follow each other pretty nicely right there. Pretty nicely. We've already shown you how close the interest payments follow the tax receipts as well, other than from basically 82 to 99. That was when the tax receipts were well below from a debt to income ratio. We were paying a lot more for interest than we were back then, than we are now, than we were back in the 50s and whatnot. But other than that, it's been a pretty straight line here for GDP, which is in the blue, and the tax receipts. You can see right there, we got more tax receipts than GDP relative to, in terms of this graph. Now, the graph in of itself isn't really all that. I just find it interesting. A lot of similarities there into the way the graph is lined, how the trajectory is. GDP keeps going up, tax receipts keep going up, and somehow everyone's flipped out. Say, oh, it can't last. And say, why? Well, because the interest payments are so high relative to the tax receipts, relative to the GDP. GDP is still growing, man. And if you looked at what they actually look at for debt to income ratio, they take your income that you have when you're going to borrow money, and they say, what's your income? What's your debt payments? Right? Now we could look at debt to GDP if you want. We could say GDP is our economic production, how much we're put into the, how much we're producing, and our GDP is the debt is over 120% of our GDP. All right, that's our total debt. How much total debt do you have relative to your income? Let's say you're making $50,000 a year, and you got a $200,000 mortgage. You have a debt to GDP. Now, again, it's not quite the same. We're not comparing apples to apples, but you get the gist. What is your production, your output? That'd be measured in income. Your output in this case is $50,000 a year. Your debt is $200,000. Your debt to GDP is 400%. Oh, guess what? You can't do. You can't print off money. You can't, like the federal government. Oh, guess what else you can't do? You have to pay it back. You can't just pay interest. The federal government can just pay interest if they want. Just this whole thing that this economy is about to collapse or the dollar is inevitable to collapse. Why? Why is this? Well, because the debt to GDP is so high. Japan's debt to GDP is twice ours. It's been like that for freaking, since what, 2005. Over 200%. Hasn't collapsed. Hasn't. But, you know, you can't grow your way out of a deficit. Yeah, you can. You can grow your way out. But the facts are our economy is so big, we're never going to get an 8% growth rate. It's just freaking stupid, dude. It's not going to happen. We're never going to pay off the debt. It'll never happen. It'll be perpetual interest payments that we pay. And when rates go down, guess what? The interest payments that we pay on the debt will go down too. It's just that simple. As long as we have a massive economic output and nothing comes close, China doesn't come close, Germany certainly doesn't come close, Europe is dead. As long as we have massive economic output to back our amount of debt, people are going to want to loan us money. And who loans it? Oh, let me show you who owes us money. Let's take a look here. Ready? This is a great thing. I can't remember how I came across this. This is called fiscal debt or fiscaldata.treasury.gov. Oh, debt held by the public, 28 million. Debt held by intergovernment, 7 million. Who holds the public debt? Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess? How much did China own? About $1 billion, if even that. Japan, maybe a couple billion. How much? I think China owns 800 billion of our total debt. I think Japan owns like $1 trillion, and maybe the European nations own another $2 trillion or something like that. So we have $35 trillion in debt. The vast majority is held by government, our own government, or ourselves, in terms of investments, mutual funds, whatnot. And you're never going to be paid back. You're always going to get an interest, but the debt will never go down. It never will. There's no incentive for the government to say, we're going to pay off these debts and never issue it again. There isn't any. And given that Medicare and Social Security is so expensive, there's absolutely the disincentive to do that. Like if we pay off that debt, there's less money we have to service these, not discretionary, whatever, expenditure. It's not discretionary. It's mandatory expenditures. But if you look at like a debt to income perspective, how much is our debt that we pay, our service on our debt, versus how much our income? It's just not that big of a deal. It's not. That doesn't mean it can't be. But as we sit here today, the idea that the dollar is going to collapse, as it inevitably will, I say, when? It didn't collapse in the 80s. Well, because we have enough debt. We didn't have that much debt. We do now. We're not paying it off, but we still had debt in the 80s. We did. People were freaking out about debt back then. It drives me up the wall. All right, God bless. Love your thoughts. Hey, you don't like what I say? Give me a thumbs down. I can handle it, baby. I can handle it.